Hello there, internet bikers. Today we're going to talk about cruisers, and we're going to talk about Yammie Noob. So I'm guessing if you're here, it's because you know who Yammie Noob is. He has over 1 million viewers or 1 million subscribers, and I don't even have 100. So I'm pretty sure you know who he is, and you most likely don't know who I am. But the thing that we're going to have in common is that this video is a response to a Yammie Noob video in which he asks, why do people buy cruisers? So I'm gonna say a couple things. First, I'm gonna say why I think he's wrong in everything that he said in that video. And second, I'm gonna say the real reasons why I think people buy cruisers, such as this one. And I should know, I've had this one for 13 years. So I guess my opinion should have some base to it, because not only have I had a cruiser for 13 years, but I also have other bikes that are not cruisers. So I think I have a wide enough spectrum here in the bike world to understand and explain differences and why would we buy one or the other. So let's get on the bike and start talking about Yammie Noob, his mistakes in his video, and the real reasons we buy cruisers. All right, so if you know Yammie Noob, you know that he is mostly into sport bikes. So the whole thing about him is that he approaches motorcycles from a performance point of view, which is already the wrong point of view if you're going to talk about cruisers. And he goes on in his video about all the reasons why people shouldn't buy cruisers, or at least all the reasons that he sees that are wrong or completely against cruisers. And basically it's that for every type of performance metric out there, you will always have something better outside of the cruiser world. And he is absolutely right about that. Cruisers are not performance-oriented motorcycles. They have a completely different purpose. But he tries to rack his brain around understanding or trying to find the reasons for why people buy cruisers. And the only things that he can come up with, because he has this performance lens always on, is that, well, they're very cheap. Especially if you buy second-hand Japanese bikes. Those are very, very cheap. True, that's really great. I mean, you can buy a lot of cruisers for very little money. And the other thing that he comes up with is that they're very easy to work on, because basically they're just low-tech naked bikes, which is also true. I mean, there's people for everything out there, and yeah, there might be people who would choose those as their primary reasons for buying a cruiser. But that's my opinion, is that it's not, those are not the main reasons why people buy cruisers. He is completely off the mark. He has no idea why we buy cruisers. So I'm gonna explain the real reasons. So here we go. I have 3, maybe 4 main reasons why we buy cruisers. First one is they're for cruising. Duh, that's the whole point. The whole point of a cruiser motorcycle is what I'm doing right now. I'm not trying to put my knee down in every single corner. I'm not trying to go as fast as I can. I'm not trying to make a better lap times than I did before. None of that. That's not what we care about in cruisers. We just want to ride and basically enjoy the scenery. And here's one of the main things that people that don't really understand cruisers fail to see, is that when you're riding a cruiser, you're not focused, really not focused on the road. You're focused on the scenery, right? Because that's what you want to do. You want to take it all in. When you're riding any other type of motorcycle, especially if it's a performance-oriented bike, you're looking at the road and you're in this attack position. You're like this, right? So you're like this, and you start looking down at the road. You're not looking at the scenery. But in a cruiser, and I'm glad I have the 360 on, because I'm showing you, this is how you ride a speed bike, a naked bike. This is how you ride an adventure bike. This is how you ride a cruiser. And what happens is that your line of sight changes drastically. So when you're riding a cruiser, your eyesight is not focused on the road. Of course you're looking at the road, but you're not fully focused on the road. You're looking at the road, and you're looking at the whole scenery. You're looking at everything. And because that's what you're doing, you're cruising. You're not doing laps. You're not speeding down the runway or wherever it is that you're going. So I think that's a very, very important reason that, of course, a performance-oriented person like Yammie would never understand. Because when he gets on a bike, he wants to go fast. But if you're riding a cruiser, when you get on a bike, you want to look at the scenery and you want to enjoy that. It's a completely different experience. It's like when you buy a cruiser bicycle, like when to cruise down the shoreline or whatever it is where you live, compared to buying a racing bike, because you want to go down to the track and do some laps around in a bicycle track. It's a completely different experience. It's like buying a convertible car just because you want to soak in the wind, and I mean, you want to put on your sunglasses, you have your hair in the wind, compared to maybe buying a performance-oriented car where you want to go fast. Completely different perspectives, completely different ways of enjoying the 2 or the 4 wheels. So I think that's the main reason that we buy cruisers, and it's clearly something that Yammie has absolutely no clue about. He just completely missed that in his video. He had no idea that this is a reason why people buy motorcycles. He's like, well, but what about performance? And like I said, most people, well, not most people, but many people, especially those that buy cruisers, don't really care about performance. I don't care about performance in my cruiser. All right, that's reason number 1, but it's not the only reason. We have a second reason why we buy cruisers, and this is mostly for the new bikers out there, like for people who like motorcycles, who are intrigued about motorcycles, but are also scared of motorcycles. So those types of people, I believe that most of the time they will end up buying a cruiser if they're popular enough in the country, in their location. The reason for that is that cruiser motorcycles are very low. The seat height is very low. So when you are new to motorcycles, when you want to feel a little bit safe, and you want to feel some sort of control on the motorcycle, well, the low seat is going to be very, very enticing to you. You're going to be very interested in having a low seat, so that every time you stop, you know that you're going to be able to flat foot both feet. I know that's very important for a lot of people, especially new bikers. And there's nothing like a cruiser motorcycle to be able to put both feet down. So yeah, that is the second reason. I think it's maybe not the most popular reason, but popular enough. Certainly more popular than the crazy ideas that Yammie had in his video as reasons for people buying cruiser motorcycles. And then there's a third one, and here's the thing. The third one is something that I had absolutely no clue about until after I bought my cruiser. So I'm gonna explain this because I just ran into that. It's something great, but it's something that I just ran into, which is the cruiser community, right? So I think the cruiser community is one great reason why maybe you don't buy your first cruiser, but it's a reason for you not to get rid of a cruiser or to change your cruiser for another cruiser. It's the biker community. The cruiser community is completely different from any other biker community out there. When we're talking about community, we're talking about group rides, because hey, not everyone is a lone wolf out there, and some people are looking for the community aspect of motorcycles. And so when you're riding naked or sport bike, even adventure bikes, well, what happens is when you go in a group ride, in almost every case, the group ride is going to end up being split, right? You're going to have fast boys, and you're going to have well, different speeds. So the fastest boys are always going to end up just, you know, slipping away, and the same is going to happen to the slow boys. They're just going to get dropped behind. They're going to get left behind up until the next cross point, or the next meeting point, the next coffee shop, and then everyone will just, you know, reconvene. The fast boys will be there waiting for the other guys, maybe stretching or smoking a cigarette or whatever it is that they do while they wait. But this is what's going to happen. People in those rides are always going to stretch out. Some people will go faster, some people will go slower, and they're not going to ride together. But the cruiser community never ever does that. When you're riding in a cruiser group, what you're gonna see is that the first biker, the lead biker, is always gonna be the road captain, the person that knows where we're going. The second bike on the group is always gonna be the one that we perceive to be the slowest. What that does is that makes everybody go as fast as the slow guy, and so we're always together. So this is something that I had no clue about until I started riding in groups, and I figured that out, right? So the slow guy always defines the pace, and that's something that if you're not a cruiser rider, you will probably never see. But it's really, really interesting. It's really great, and I think it's what makes the cruiser community so tight-knit. Never leave anyone behind. We're always riding together, and I don't know, it just, because the whole point is not to go fast, it's just, you know, enjoy the scenery. And well, if we're in a group, let's enjoy the scenery together. So yeah, that's the third point about cruisers that Yammie, of course, completely missed. And now here's a fourth one that I think, I don't know if it's important for many people, but it certainly was important for me. And it's that cruisers are probably, at least the Japanese ones, the best value for money for riding two up in a very comfortable manner, right? So a cruiser motorcycle like this one, long and low, is going to give you a lot of seat room, a lot of leg room for both rider and passenger. That's not something you're going to get in any other type of motorcycle, unless you break the bank and go for a touring bike, for one of the large luxury touring bikes. But those cost easily 2 or 3 times as much as a regular Japanese cruiser like this one. So those are the main reasons. Those are the 4 main reasons why I think people buy cruisers that Yammie completely missed. He didn't even catch a single one. But I'm also going to go ahead and say there's a myth out there. There's one that people think, and I fell for this, I honestly fell for this, that as a reason for buying a cruiser instead of a different motorcycle. And this is specifically if you're riding, if you're a lone rider, right? If you ride alone. So the point is, some people think cruiser motorcycles are the most comfortable motorcycles out there, and I hate to break it to you, but they're not. They're absolutely not. They're not more comfortable than adventure bikes or sport touring bikes or even naked bikes. They're not less comfortable either. They're just different comfortable. You have a different seating position, but it's not necessarily a more comfortable one. It depends on each body type, and some people will prefer it maybe a little bit, or maybe they'll just hate it. Personally, and this is something crazy for me, right? I was 100% sure that cruiser motorcycles were the best, absolute most comfortable bikes out there, and so I bought mine thinking, yeah, I mean, I don't want to go fast, I just want to enjoy the scenery, and I want to do it comfortably. So I mean, for me, with the limited information that I had back then, I mean, there was just getting a cruiser was an absolute no-brainer. But turns out that when I started getting interested on other types of motorcycles, I realized, yeah, you know what? The adventure bikes, for me, are more comfortable than the cruisers. The naked bikes are not less comfortable, they're just different comfortables. And yeah, so that like burst my bubble, and I figured, why did I have a cruiser for so long? But then I remember, you know, it's because when you ride a cruiser, you're not worried about speed, you're just enjoying the scenery, and you have this whole community behind you. And so getting that myth out of the way, which is not a real reason for buying a cruiser, I want to say that if you think that you're gonna that you want a cruiser because it's more comfortable, I seriously think that you need to test ride different types of motorcycles and figure out what is really more comfortable for you. And with that said, I'm gonna say a couple more things. One is, if I knew back then what I know now, would I still get a cruiser? Well, most likely I wouldn't, because I would just go for a adventure bike or maybe a sport touring bike from the very beginning. I mean, I did end up buying one because clearly they are better for me. At least that's what I think. But having said that, and after all this time, do I actually regret getting a cruiser? And I mean, I don't think it's gonna be a surprise if I say that I don't, because if I regretted getting a cruiser, why would I have it for 13 years? I continue to enjoy riding the cruiser style. It's not what I want to ride every single time, but I do enjoy it. And I enjoy riding the group rides. I really enjoy the cruiser community, the hangouts, the you know, bar nights or whatever it is that happens with these people. And they're just really fun, interesting, easygoing people. So I like that. I wouldn't say that I regret getting the cruiser, but would I actually get another cruiser? And here the thing is, if I was only going to have one motorcycle, then no, I wouldn't get a cruiser. But having more than one motorcycle, absolutely yes. One of those would definitely have to be a cruiser. It's a different experience that I really like to enjoy every now and then. So don't forget to leave a comment. Comment on anything that I've been saying here. If you think that I forgot something or that I missed something, or if you disagree with anything that I've said and you're more on Yammie's camp on this, sure, why not? Open discussion. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for notifications on this brand spanking new motorcycle channel here on YouTube. Bye.